Hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip
Bars is back.
hip hop,
Sam
hip
and
hop.
oh God. Hop Uncensored is the vibe, so subscribe. Oh God, driving Sam and riding passenger side. And you heard it out the mouth of the greatest rapper alive.
How is it being a black man in Hollywood? Am I putting too much on saying black man in Hollywood, or do you feel a difference being a black man in Hollywood?
Absolutely. 1000%. Yeah, like as they like to call us, people of color, politically correct answer. Look, it's interesting because my trajectory personally, I've always been kind of like called the black white kid, or I've always been well spoken, and they were like, "Oh man, well you're not exactly like black per se." So even when I was younger, there was always that sort of weird, how would you say, turmoil when you would go into a casting session. They'd be like, well, can you be more urban? That's something that I've always had to deal with growing up by way of just how I was raised in the community I was raised by. So for me to be a black man in Hollywood, one of my initiatives, plain and simple, is to kind of show the various spectrum of black. You know what I mean? Like I look to Donald Glover, I look to Jordan Peele, like the work they're doing is phenomenal. They're able to break down barriers, but people are looking at them like, oh my God, they're so cultured. And I love the way they're like bringing everything in. And when Donald Glover could stand at the Oscars and he could be like, Bad and Bougie is the hottest record of all time, but white people can still give him praise. That's what I'm kind of looking at is the special position that I could sort of stand in, meaning like, I could code switch, but then bring across our culture. You know what I mean? Bring people who I know with more flavor than say for so Hollywood's used to. And just being a black man in general. Look, I'm tired of playing the stereotype. Mm-hmm. And I also just want to show, again, more layers to us culturally, So when I was younger, it's like always going out for thug number one, or like, good kid from a bad neighborhood who, doesn't have a way out. Cool. I'll play the roles, you know what I mean? But it doesn't mean I want to play that forever. Why can't we start seeing us in different positions? You know what I mean? Like even with the film I'm doing now, I'm talking about mental health within the black community by way of a famous black entertainer. Like I want to open that up and start expanding what it is for us to be black and how we're represented in Hollywood.
With that being said, that'll lead to my next question is, how do you feel about black actors putting on a role as a woman or dressing as a woman in Hollywood? We typically, when we have black actors, we always want to get into the mind of how you guys, see that whole thing. So what's your thoughts on that?
Man, let me be careful about the words that I choose. I would say this. For the sake of comedy, sometimes comedic situations tend to be very outrageous. Now, with that being said, I don't discredit anyone who's done it before, but I do think there is also a hidden agenda of demasculating black men within entertainment, and there's certain agendas that are being played very similar to that, about our sexual orientation as well. And so I think it comes down to character and values. And for me, per se, there are certain values that I might not cross the line for unless it's justified. And I think we should really be mindful always moving forward of the depiction of our culture and how that's going to affect us.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. With that said, I'm going to ask you this. I'm going to talk about Black Panther for a second. You played the young Zuri in Black Panther. I think that came out February 2018, if I'm not mistaken. We all watched it in the room right now. It was something that we needed. It was something that was absolutely amazing to watch as a black man, as a black person, just to see us on screen that way. But there was some criticism involved with the movie as well. Shout out to Michael Coogler, who did a phenomenal job directing the movie.
Ryan Coogler. Yeah.
Ryan, yeah. I'm sorry, my bad.
Oh, no, you good.
Who directed the movie, and Marvel, who dropped obviously the Black Panther movie. A lot of people gave criticism, obviously, to Killmonger, who was out here playing the bad guy, the villain, but who was ultimately trying to help Black Americans in America with the overall premise. And then the good guy coming to save the day. You got the FBI agent coming to save and rescue. It's a lot of different dynamic going on amongst the Black community when it came to the movie. So what did you think about the movie, how it came out originally, the impact it had, and then the overall message of it?
So that was a real interesting one. And the first time I've ever had this happen within my career is like, because of how secretive Marvel is about their script, I didn't necessarily read the full script. You know, I didn't even have the opportunity to read the full script as we were filming it. You know, certain parts were basically disclosed to certain individuals. And then, you know, we had to basically lean on Ryan Coogler to sort of to tell us where we were coming from as a place of character and make that honest and real. So by the time I had seen the movie, the first time I seen the movie was at the premiere that we had, the Los Angeles premiere. And I was blown away, to say the least. Like I was overcome with emotion to be a part of a film like that. But also at the same time too, I was looking at Ryan like, oh, they let you do that? You know what I mean? I was like, they let you do that with a Marvel property, and then it exceeded box office numbers. I was like, oh, okay, this is possible. With regards to the whole, you know, Killmonger thing, I think that's kind of what makes him such a complex character, you know, and whether we want to call him an antagonist, a protagonist, or whatnot, that's kind of the thing. Some of the greatest quote unquote villains within cinematic history, we can understand them. You know, I think there's a certain madness to the Joker that we can understand. There's a certain madness to Killmonger that we can understand. And the question is it madness with Killmonger? You know, where he's an individual who wants to see justice by force, you know, which we've seen that in the past. We've seen that, you know, with Malcolm X. Can we necessarily condemn the man Malcolm X? No, not at all. Because most certainly from the other side of, you know, the scope, there has definitely been violence pressed upon us, and that was okay. There's been certain wars within history. I mean, just look at the what is it, the Catholic Crusades, I believe it was. It was the, you know, that was like, are you kidding me? How many numbers died for the sake of religion? You know, we happen to see it in the Middle East all the time, where quote unquote violence is being justified. So it's hard to say. And I think that's what makes not only his character so complex, but the actual conversation very complex. And I'm happy to see a character like Killmonger come to the forefront, because we really need to think about it. Like, is violence always the answer? Is it not? You know what I mean? Is it sometimes justified? Is it not? You know what I mean? If we were to look at the situation right now with what's my man's name? Aubrey.
Ahmaud Aubrey.
Ahmaud Aubrey, yes.
Yeah.
Like certain people are mad. They were like, if we don't see justice, who's to say what violence will look like on the end of that spectrum? You know? And I'm never one to encourage violence, but when we're being hunted down in the street, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? So I don't know. I just think there were so many powerful messages there. And that's the power of cinema, is that we get to sort of put these themes forward and then expand that conversation further. So I'm glad that conversation is further expanding. You know what I mean? It's all about bringing awareness to the subject, first of all, because wasn't nobody talking about this before the movie came out, you know? Right.
Definitely. With that being said, Black Panther 2, I know they're saying they're going to do it. If they are, and when they do, are you going to be involved in that? Have you been called to do that, or how's that going to work?
Man, you would be the first to know.
No doubt.
Let's get into Black Mouth Company, man. You got a company called Black Mouth, man. Elaborate to people on what exactly that is and what you got going on over there.
Yeah, for sure. So Blackmouth is a company I started in 2013. I've actually had it much further than that. I had it probably since the 6th grade. I remember. I just needed a name. I remember like Ludacris's CD Word of Mouth. I decided to call myself Blackmouth. The same logo, and actually this right here, it's written in Japanese. I had somebody in Japan translate it when I was recently there. Blackmouth is basically like if storytelling is the most common form of word of mouth, then Blackmouth are basically my stories, or stories of my culture, or things that I feel passionate about. The same way you think of Steven Spielberg and Amblin, which is his company. You can look up Amblin right now. It doesn't necessarily have a name, but that was the name of his first short film. Blackmouth, I pretty much want synonymous with me. And it's sort of a cool collective, and also what I want to build up as a film company, where voices very similar to mine are either just voices that I've always felt passionate about, even when it comes to like adventure fantasy filmmaking and things like that. Like that's all kind of part of my brainstem, and I want to further develop that.